Hello and welcome to When Will It End? It's the movie podcast where two friends, Josh and Charles, we watch the movies. We watch all of them, starting with 1, going to 2, going to 3, and then going to the animated spin-off that bears little resemblance to the rest of the series, which is what we're talking about today for our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles series and our 4th installment. Hello, Charles.
Is Mike here?
Mike is gone.
Thank fucking God.
My voice is back. Mike is gone.
You sound great.
I sound better than the wheezing ghoul that I sounded like in the last episode, so thank you. I'll take the praise.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't even listened to it yet. You sound bad.
I mean, you were there. I had a horrible cold.
Yeah.
I was under the weather.
Oh, no,
Things
no.
were not great.
Not blaming you, but I don't think anyone's listening anymore. I think last week's episode probably got rid of our few listeners. I don't know. Well, this is the TMNT. I thought it was going to be a fun series. Let's see what we can do with this.
Well, we've in many ways descended into the bowels of hell. In a way, we're acting as our own shredders, shredding the fan base with this obtuse series that honestly went a lot deeper than I thought it would, and not necessarily in a good way.
Yeah, depth is not always what you want.
This is true, much like when you slip into a sewer grate to avoid a combination of samurais and rapacious English arms dealers.
Yeah?
You end up with shit in your mouth.
That's so true. It's one thing we learned from Turtles 3, The Scroll.
Yeah, a movie that, again, I love. There's so much we didn't get to in our disjointed alternate timeline episode with Mike. But man, I miss certainly after watching this movie, I miss the rich texture of the woods and the really cool cinematic flair and the Twin Peaks music during all of the Shogun scenes. And we're really transitioning into a bewildering follow-up, which again, we should note, this is thematically, well, continuity-wise, this is a continuation of this original trilogy, despite being in so many ways a completely different animal.
Right. What animal would you say? We got turtles. I'm assuming 1, 2, and 3 are all turtles, or do you think there's a different animal?
Well, they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is what I guess I'd say they would be. Or maybe they could be, in a way, this podcast is our mutant idiot baby, like from Secret of the Ooze, you know?
Okay, so when you say that TMNT is a different animal, what animal are you think? So the podcast is the dumb baby. That isn't
well, like Shredder, we thought our offspring would be cutting and incisive and dangerous and a real contender on this stage. And in reality, it's a big dumb baby.
Do you think, we never really talked about it, but do you think in the second one, what I realize it's sort of a cop-out to have another turtle as like the monster that he makes.
It is weirdly too similar. And looking back, again, we had this conversation then. I'll bring it back now. You have Bebop and Rocksteady. As we found out, the creators were dead set against them, besmirching the fine reputation of Bebop and Rocksteady, though they were in all the video games, in all the animated series. So again, a fucking mystery to me. But yeah, having a snapping turtle fight a normal turtle, that's weird. Why not go outside that a wolf and a snapping turtle? Charles, what would you have brought in there?
Wow. I mean, and was that a dog or a wolf?
It was a wolf.
Okay, so I mean, that I find hard to believe. Didn't we kill all the wolves? Aren't there no wolves left?
Well, it's impressive they found a wolf in New York City. I'll say that.
Yeah. I would. Okay. So can you just, before I give my answer, which this is important, so I want to just get everything lined up.
I just thought of my answer. It's better than yours. Go ahead.
Are Bebop and Rocksteady, are they the same? Are they Snapping Turtle Wolf in the comics?
No, Bebop and Rocksteady are like, I want to say they're like, oh God. One of them is like a warthog.
That would be good. Fuck, that's a great answer.
I think they're warthogs.
They're both warthogs?
Okay, it's a warthog and a rhinoceros. There we go.
Did you just look it up? Or just
originally human thugs that came to Shredder's henchmen, and so they were mutated from people into animals, according to Wikipedia, which is way more fucked up.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, so if I were to have whatever animal I wanted.
And remember, we have a rat in there. You know, we have, of course, Baxter Stockman as the fly in the series.
Sure.
So there's some animals we've covered.
Yeah.
Anything outside of that?
And turtles.
Of course. The titular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
All right, so if I could have any two, so are we keeping the wolf, or can I get a new one?
Well, the wolf is fine. I have no problem with the wolf.
Yeah, the wolf's good. A little hard to believe, but that's fine. So I guess if I could have any animal I wanted, I would do a U.S. Navy sailor.
A sailor.
Yeah, sailor.
Would he be like a drunk Randy sailor on shore leave?
No, he'd be just like one of the a poster one.
Like a barrel-chested, rosy-cheeked, apple-bottomed.
Yes, apple-bottomed.
Now, of course, I assume he's wearing his little white outfit with the blue highlights and a little cap.
Definitely got the cap. There might be one scene maybe when he becomes a big sailor, everything breaks, like in the Hulk, except for his hat, and he just wears the hat the rest of the movie.
Is he hanging dong?
Yep.
Okay. Let me ask: is it a healthy member?
No, it's syphilitic.
Oh wow! So it's a syphilitic sailor who's nude from the forehead down.
Yeah, the forehead though is usually capped.
Okay. Well, that honestly, I'm now envisioning a large syphilitic sailor with a pus and wart covered, a pus using wart covered dong just sort of flapping around in the sewers of New York City.
Yeah, and it only gets worse from the ooze. The ooze and syphilis, as we all know, is
I mean, let me ask you this: is the syphilis like mutant?
Wait, what was that? Is it a syphilis mutant?
Is it like a special kind of syphilis? It's like a mutant syphilis.
Right, it becomes oozed.
Oh wow!
Twice the ooze.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, he goes to the doctor afterwards. There's a scene where he goes to the doctor.
Is it a mutant doctor?
No. Regular doctor. It's the same doctor from before the procedure.
Well, that's pretty exciting. Okay, well, this does make mine look a lot stupider in comparison
what was yours?
now.
What was yours?
Oh, I thought like a snake.
That's pretty cool.
Like a big mutant snake. How cool would that be? Because they're already in the sewers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's why wolf doesn't really make too much sense. But I assume they just probably went out and found a wolf.
I don't know. Maybe they went to a zoo. It's a fucking crime syndicate. Like they must have some like tap into like endangered animals they could get or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, snake's good. Snake and wolf, they're classic pairing.
Kind of classic images. But now compared to your, mostly naked sailor with syphilis, I feel a bit unimaginative.
That's all right. This isn't going anywhere.
That's true. Just inside our little minds.
Yeah. Wow.
Huh. It's good to dream.
Well, for this week's episode, we're doing the strange thing where we're in different rooms, and I don't know. Is it working?
Well, that's for the listeners to decide, Charles. It's our job to make great content, and so far, man, I'm having fun.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell that, like, before I always know visually when you're not paying attention to me, but now I can sort of just hear it based on, like, your keyboard sounds and, like, weird YouTube videos that play for a second before you mute your screen.
That wasn't a YouTube video. I got a call at my office because I'm at work, you fucking degenerate.
Oh, that's right. God.
Okay, I just missed a call for my job because of this. Now, I assume it's probably just, like, one of the many robocalls that I get, but, like, don't be throwing that shade at me. I'm making an actual sacrifice, okay?
Yeah. As a real journalist, do you call all robocalls back and, like, follow the scoop? Get the lead?
Yeah, I say, where's this lead and who's behind this?
Yeah. Wow, like a real April O'Neil.
I'm a regular April O'Neil. And also, if you're doing your job as a fucking editor, which is the goddamn single thing I pay you for on this show, no one will hear my clicking and my little snip-snips.
They will not hear either of the snip-snips.
Nor the clicking.
I
think you feel self-conscious. You, like, in many relationships, I think, I'm a classic Gemini. I have the wandering eye.
What?
I'm always sort of peeking around. If I got a scoop, I'm going to follow up on it. So I get it. You're a little insecure around that, and then I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm a classic Cancer.
You're a classic Cancer, my God.
That's why I think I associate so much with these turtles.
Yeah.
Because they just live in a little shell, much like a crab.
Yeah.
Oh, crab would be good, because that would be like...
Oh, crab would be sick.
Similar.
Did they ever do that in Godzilla, a mutant crab?
Probably. There's been, what,
you have to, right? That's a slam dunk.
Yeah. Bam. Slam dunk. 2 points.
What if it was a syphilitic dunk? Dunk. Oh, my God. Syphilitic dunk. That's kind of a good name for something. File that away.
A band?
Yeah, syphilitic dunk. What if it's a syphilitic crab?
And the sailor? Or is this with the
no,
wolf
I'm saying
still?
I'm holding on to the syphilitic part. The sailor, I mean, it's a crab already. I mean, be a crab. Okay, it's a crab wearing a sailor's cap who has syphilis and a big dick.
Better. So do you think he started off as the sailor and sort of like Rock Bop and Stiggy Bop Stutty?
Yeah, much like Rock Bop and Stickity Bop, he was mutated from a human sailor by Shredder nefariously into a syphilitic crab. Maybe he had syphilis already.
I think in the Turtleverse, everyone has syphilis.
That would explain a lot of the behavior displayed by people.
Especially Casey.
I mean, Casey for sure has something. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I feel like Casey is in TMNT. So is April O'Neil. We've talked about all the characters so far, but yet we haven't talked about the movie yet. Should we start talking about the movie?
Let's dig into it. So this is a movie that comes out 14 years after the third film. And it's kind of a wild departure tonally in a lot of ways. And I'm not sure where to start with this one, because I guess we have to start with the fact that it's front-loaded with a intro so wild and so ludicrously complicated that I thought this was like adapted out of an animated series into a standalone film or something. Because I'm like, why conceivably would they front-load this relatively simple dynamic of the Turtles with this ludicrous plot?
Yeah, and I'm so glad I didn't even have to suggest it, but when you asked where to start, I was going to suggest the beginning, as I always do, and you just must have known that's what I was going to tell you to do.
Yeah, I'm tapped into your style, man.
Yeah, that's why we're friends?
Okay, tone it down. Hey, who narrates the intro? You were right about this, and I was wrong.
I don't know how you didn't. I can tell always the presence of a Larry the Fish.
Yeah, this was the big Lawrence Fishburne baby.
Yeah, whether he's on screen, whether I get to see that beautiful pockmarked head, regardless of who he's playing, whether he's playing a Morpheus or a Morpheus in John Wick. What was his name in John Wick?
Oh, God, leader of the homeless guys. I don't know. No one knows.
Raggy Bones.
Raggy Bones, probably. I want to just kiss his big head. Imagine how nice that must be.
Oh, God. We should make that our quest for 2020.
To kiss Lawrence Fishburne's head?
Yeah. Yeah, we could make
I like that.
Yeah, we could journal it. We could journal the whole time.
And implicitly, it should be a consensual exchange.
Oh, God. I don't think he'd really talk to us until we get to the moment, but of course, we would ask. We would make sure it's okay with him.
Honestly, he's a big Hollywood celebrity. I'm sure he's dealt with this before, of people asking to kiss his head, and he can handle it again.
I mean, the size of it just means he has a higher percentage of people attempting to do the kiss, I would say. Isn't that right? The math checks on that.
I think the larger the head, the more the public kisses, and similarly, the bigger the belly, the more the public rubs.
That's so true.
Right?
It's the bigger theory.
Hey, the bigger the better. Okay, so let's get into the start of this movie. I'm going to just draw from a couple plot synopsises because it's honestly so wild and genuinely befuddling that...
Wait, you're just going to read someone else's plot synopsis?
I'm going to draw on different notes to paint a picture for people.
All right.
Okay, so 3,000 years ago, and that's your red flag number one. That's not good.
No, it's not good.
You shouldn't... This is not a complicated story. And again, just to recap the Turtles a little bit, we've learned over 3 movies some very different things about them. In the second movie, we learn the origins of where the ooze came from. It was industrial runoff from an experiment, essentially. And we're given the idea they were created essentially, in the 80s, essentially? That's the idea we're given?
Yeah. Yeah, 80s.
Right. Well, maybe the mid-70s, because they are 15 in 1990. So,
good point.
Right. So then... in the third movie, when they go back in time to the 17th century, they actually see there's this long history of turtle, and they're called demons at that point, but there's actually a history of mutant turtles, we're told, essentially throughout time, which is fascinating.
Is it?
And this movie, weirdly, goes back in time and then doesn't really engage with that major dangler from 3. But go ahead, I cut you off there.
Oh, no, I just said, is it? Because, you and Mike seem to be obsessed with this scroll showing turtles that predate the original Turtles, but it bored me. I didn't give a shit.
I love it. I think we differ on this. I really like the idea that there's this long-running mythos to the Turtles. And again, a big part of 2 is Donatello coming to the face the facts that they're not special. So, is it a cheap reversal in 3? Maybe, kind of. Is it unnecessary? To some degree. But I'm intrigued by it. I like the idea there's the scroll spoke of them, which is, I think that's cool. It raises the question of more turtle time travel, which of course, Turtles in Time, the best arcade game ever. So, I like that rich vein.
For me, that's all it really called. The question was maybe they just time travel more. I don't really, for me, franchises, when it gets to the point where they're cloning characters or making new versions of characters, that's a very dangerous area to enter because has the potential to be very bad.
I think as we learned from the Terminator series, time travel is, it's like doing heroin. It feels great the first time, but, the second you dip back into it, you're consigning yourself to a lifetime of misery.
That's what you think the Terminatorverse was about.
No, I think with time travel in general.
Oh,
like,
okay.
famously in the Harry Potter series,
Sure.
many point out that the introduction of time travel into the third book makes the entire series like spin off of any basis of realism to any degree, and it just raises all these questions of like, well, if they can fucking time travel, why aren't they time traveling more? And it's barely returned to, and it's like this weird door to open. It only answers a plot question in the short term, and then the second you actually invest in its implications, it's a mess. That's when you get Terminator Genesis, where it's like, okay, well, we are really committed to this time travel bullshit, so now we're going to like try to explain it even more and then create multiverses, and like it's a nightmare.
Yeah, it's very hard to do well. There's been a few, and I think honestly we didn't really talk about it because we got so derailed by Mike and his bullshit last time, but like I really liked how they don't explain how it works, but they explain very specific details, like it's got to be roughly the same mass, so like you swap bodies. So it actually became less about time travel and more just about location. Like they're kind of like, they never said, oh, I need to get back to 1990. They said we need to get back to New York. And I think that was a really smart move to like make it like so unexplained, but have very specific explained details that like I can link to and really follow.
I think, that balance between being a children's film and a light sci-fi movie, they managed to strike enough of a balance between plot conveniences and rules that I was pretty satisfied with it. And it's like, fuck it. It's Turtles 3. I'm just on board. Who gives a shit? This rules. Search for the Death Scrolls. Whatever.
Yeah, it's searching. But yeah, this one, it's not time travel. It just is like, let's see. What has this series been missing? A complicated plot starting 3,000 years ago with a character that is boring and monsters.
Right. Okay, so 3,000 years ago, a warlord Yautl.
I think it's Yautl.
Sounds like Yertle.
Yertle the turtle?
Famous turtle.
Oh my God. Do you think this is
Dr. Seuss? Ever heard of that guy?
Whoa, this is a Dr. Seuss Turtles. What's it called?
Crossover event. It's a crossover event.
Yeah, crossover event.
Finally, the two universes I've most wanted to see come together.
I mean, what are there other famous turtles out there?
There's like, tortoises, people love videos of tortoises doing cute shit. We're like, this tortoise is fucking 800 years old. Look at him fuck.
That is a really good one.
He likes lettuce and fucking. And it's like, you're a vegan. You can probably relate to that.
To an 800-year-old turtle fucking and eating lettuce.
Well, he likes fucking and lettuce, and that's,
Yeah, I only like lettuce.
Oh, okay. My girlfriend doesn't like lettuce.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It's probably the most boring of vegetables.
I like a good butter lettuce. It adds a lot to a sandwich.
That's not vegan.
Fair enough. Okay, so 3,000 years ago, Warlord Yertle enters a portal into a parallel universe and becomes immortal. Of course. But his 4 generals are turned to stone. Makes sense. The portal also releases 13 immortal monsters that destroy his army and his enemies.
Sure. Yep.
That's the intro to a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. I asked you when it was happening, is this a cutscene from a Warcraft game?
Yeah, and it looks like it. That's the other thing we haven't talked about. This is 2007. CGI is okay, but not great.
Well, it's like watching like a feature-length piece of web content is the vibe that it has, basically, from this vantage point 12 years later.
Yeah, it's like watching Red versus Blue. It's like all this shit that was just like, when it worked, it wasn't because it looked good. It's because there was more going on. And yeah, this is just like really to take away from, I don't know, let's have a little talk about practical versus CGI. You want to do that? A little CGI.
Well, I mean, it's 100% CGI, so I'm not really sure how far we're going to go into that.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, why the first 3, even the second one, like, it works. And I think that's because it uses practical effects.
Yeah, this is true. There is like a weird amount of humanity in their stilted, strange mouth moves and hysterical proportions. Like, there's something, like maybe because it has that like living cartoon vibe to it, like a Dick Tracy kind of zone. Mm-hmm. It makes it feel like a stylistic choice that's kind of bold because it's so ridiculous. So like once you retreat into CGI, it's like, well, this is not that. It's way crazier to have real people next to human-sized turtles than it is to have just fucked up looking turtles in like a video game like setting.
Exactly. I totally agree. I think this is the weird thing. And it actually, watching TMNT, it reminded me that I think the reason why this new generation of children always on their fucking devices and shit, like that is why they're such losers. because they were not brought up in a culture where they got to watch child actors.
Right, and famously our culture treats child actors so well that it's a system that we want to perpetuate.
That's true too. Wait, that's not true. Jesus, what?
They turn out great, they have a good time. There's no meth or suicide or rape or theft, or it's all pretty cool.
But that's not a problem with that. We can fix that, Josh. We can go back in time and fix that.
Yeah, we can, travel back to the 30s and, save Judy Garland from living a waking hell.
I was thinking we should just go back to Edo, Japan.
Well, I think we should send fucking Mike back to Edo, Japan. He loves it so goddamn much.
He would love that. But no,
so my nephew, his son is named Edo, Japan Landis.
Wait, I thought it was Noah. Yes, a zinger returns. But I'm actually being sort of serious. I did think about watching this movie how almost every kids movie since around 2007 has been animated. And it's like when I was a kid, yeah, there were some Disney movies, but they're all 2D. They were like very stylized, obviously not trying to like recreate any sense of realism. Well, some, but like very stylized 2D animation and movies with boys and girls in it. And it was like, it's interesting to engage with a culture that's completely digital and completely inhumane.
No, I hear you. I think that ability to imagine oneself, like with Barney or whatever, like, Barney's got a weird legacy. It's a weird show. But there's something about that idea of like, you can empathize with this like obvious avatar of an idea in a real world. I think there was something to the imagination that benefits from that.
Totally. So when you have 4 men in turtle suits standing around real people, and also you have crazy Shredder in a weird costume, like everyone is real, and it doesn't make the turtles look stupid or look unreal. It actually makes them seem much more concrete and like, yeah, you could sort of like, okay, there's a guy in a turtle, or it could just be that's what a giant oozed turtle looks like. And like, I just don't have to even do anything in my mind to believe that this is a movie and I'm watching it and I'm having a good time. But then when you switch over to all CGI, it just like calls attention to the bad CGI. It kicks me out. I can't really relate in the same way, and I lose it.
Yeah, and also I think just visually speaking, the fact that the environments in the first 3 live action movies are so richly realized, like the gritty, fun New York, the Kurosawa light of the 3rd movie. This movie has this visual sameness to it and a sort of like color palette and graininess to it that just is not that memorable or interesting to look at. I think they make some efforts to do some stuff with the CGI that's different. But again, in my head, like I can remember this alongside, again, like a cutscene from Diablo or something. So it just doesn't have that visual distinctiveness to it that, love it or hate the first 3 movies, you really feel like you're having this experience. And this feels a lot more distanced. Yeah,
and I'm glad that you brought up those 2 settings because, yeah, that's like we love the first one partially because it takes place in a shitty New York. Like, that's just a fun place to be. And then Edo, Japan, of course. Oh, my God. Who wouldn't want to spend some time in Edo, Japan?
God knows I would. Looking at that clean water with Michelangelo.
So, yeah, it's one of the biggest problems with this movie is that it's all CGI, I think. And
I want to share something with you, okay?
Yeah. Are you going to read something?
Yeah, I'm going to read some stuff from Wikipedia, but it's good stuff for this episode. So originally this movie was announced in 2000 with John Woo at the helm.
Whoa.
That never worked out.
What? Whoa, and, that would have been crazy.
Right, so the writer-director, Kevin Monroe, he said he wanted to do a total CGI instead of live action and CGI turtles because it would be easier for the audience to, quote, suspend disbelief for such an offbeat story, as there would be no break in the reality between CGI and live action.
Sorry, Kevin. That is wrong.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like, it's a real choice. It's very deliberate on his part, which is really interesting.
Yeah, and I guess I get what he's thinking. Like, well, you can actually have the turtles be ninjas, because before it was like they're doing pretty good, but it's still men in ninja suits, or maybe women. I don't know. I never get to see in the suit. That'd be a good behind-the-scenes name for a documentary about the turtles.
Behind the suit, yeah.
Under the shell.
Well, so let me contrast what writer-director Kevin Monroe said with the other side of the story from the producer Tom Gray, who said something a bit different. He said the decision to depart from live action was due to escalating budgets for the 3 films, with each film making less than its predecessor, making CGI kind of the only way to go to possibly make a movie of this scope at the time it was made. So the first movie only cost $13.5 million, which is crazy. And the third movie cost $21 million, which is also crazy.
Yeah.
And this movie, it says they peg it at around $34 million. And it makes sense, though. In 2007, to make a convincing Ninja Turtles movie in live action would have cost an absolute shit ton of money.
Yeah. Like I was thinking, like, feel like in 2019, it would cost $14 million just to make practical turtle suits.
No, it's ludicrous. Like, in retrospect, it's nuts. And it was such a huge slam dunk. That made like $135 million on a $13 million budget, that first movie. Like, it was such a smash.
That's incredible.
Right.
Everyone loves turtles.
The nation had turtle fever.
God. Wow. How many fevers can a nation have?
I would say hundreds of millions, and some of them would be syphilitic.
Oh, that crab sailor's back.
Yes, like our new hero, Mutant Crab Sailor. We would finally feel what it was like to be him, minus the thick crustacean shell.
Well, I would, because I'm Cancer, so I mean, mine's not tangible, but I do understand what it's like to have a thick crustacean shell.
And you certainly are crabby. Okay, so getting back to this, it starts 3,000 years ago. A warlord makes a deal to win a war to become immortal, but his generals are turned to stone, and there's monsters about all of a sudden.
And that all happens in about 90 seconds.
Yeah, with a lot of voiceover, and you're like, what the fuck? And then, of course, where do we go next? Central America.
Of course.
Right. So this movie, it's like a steep uphill battle with this movie. Like, right off the bat, it's like I'm struggling to catch up to what's going on. And, the first three movies are very facile and ridiculous and Plato-like. But I love them for that. And this movie comparatively gives you the steep learning curve that makes it a lot less fun. And having like Leonardo fighting what looks like a somewhat racist caricature of an overweight Che Guevara in Central America, where like what's Kim Possible style April O'Neil like rappels down a cave. We're getting a really different take on this whole world. And while I think I admire the efforts they go to make the Turtles characters similar, by and large, again, I just found this to be kind of impenetrable and not very rewarding.
Yeah, especially given the cast. Can you go through the cast for me?
Yeah, it's a pretty wild list. Okay, so there's not big names as the Turtles, which is fine. I think that mostly distracts. You get Nolan North as Raphael, James Arnold Taylor as Leonardo, Mikey Kelly as Michelangelo, Mitchell Whitfield as Donatello, and then moving past that.
Can I just interrupt real quick? It's really interesting that maybe because they've been under costumes the whole time and now they're voice actors, like the Turtles have never been big stars, and I guess they've never really gotten too many big stars for any of these movies, but like it's interesting that even by the third one they weren't like trying to get some. Is that just a new thing, or is like getting no, it's not a new thing, like getting name recognition to get people to see these things? They've always just been like people you've never heard of. But
you don't need it for the Ninja Turtles.
Right.
They were an animated series in the 80s, and then, that's the thing. The brand carries itself,
Yeah. Can you imagine, like, what actor from 87 or whatever would you want to pretend to be a New York Turtle?
I don't know, but let's do the live-action casting now, because I've got a list for you. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Joaquin Phoenix is Raphael.
Okay.
Ready for this?
I don't think so.
Chris Evans is Leonardo.
Oh, interesting.
Right?
I guess, yeah, that'd be cool.
I think it'd be great.
I know who Chris Evans is now, so that works.
Kevin Hart is Michelangelo. How do you not, right?
Yeah, that would be perfect.
What a slam dunk. He's a little high-energy guy.
Yeah, would you get The Rock in there, too, to sort of capture that chemistry that's been used before, or would you go somewhere else?
No, Central Intelligence, though, not that bad a movie. I watched it on TV, and it was like, you know what? This is fine.
And didn't they have the scene in the new, did you see the new Hobbs and Shaw?
I did not.
I think that was Kevin Hart in like a brief scene as an air marshal.
Huh.
And they had it was fun.
And then Michelle Rodriguez as Donatello.
Whoa. There it is.
Yeah, that's my squad.
That's a great list.
Thank you.
I was just going to have Robert De Niro do all four.
I'm Leonardo. I love pizza.
Donatello. I love pizza.
I got nunchucks, Raphael. Can you milk me?
I love pizza.
That's too much. That's too much of a broad Italian caricature. And as we've learned over the last few months, the Italians have suffered enough in this country.
I missed it. What happened?
Oh, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, used the N-word in an interview on
what?
WAMC, referring to comparative experiences between the Black and Italian community in America.
Wow.
It was a moment. We all had a moment.
Well,
But yes, okay, so you're right.
it.
No one stunt casts the Turtles, which is fine. That's a wasted effort. No one's going to win with that.
I think I love your list.
So, yeah, moving past the big four, we got Chris Evans as Casey Jones. Chris, America's Ass Evans, in an early role, which is kind of cool. Sarah Michelle Gellar as April O'Neil, which I think is good casting there. That scans.
Especially, I'm cruising through Buffy. I just watched season 3, episode 9 last night.
Oh, I'm a big season 4 fan. I think that's where it all comes together. 3 is, I think, the most iconic of, the high school years, but 4, I think, is incredible.
Yeah, so far, I'm just flabbergasted by how much television used to be on. Like 26 episodes? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, and it really hurts television, I think. Like, having to come up with that much content is like, there's a great story, but having twice as many episodes as you need just like waters down the story or has them refocus. I don't know. But like, yeah, the last episode was pretty good. And Sarah Michelle Gellar, like having that now Buffy, because she's been in my world for the past 3 or 4 months, it was like, oh, cool. It's a nice voice to just sort of really live in the April O'Neil. She's been a great character so far.
Plus Evans and Gellar dating. Mamma mia, sign me up.
You signed up?
Get them to kiss.
Did you sign up for like a e-newsletter, or how'd you get signed up for that?
I would sign up for a movie in which they kiss.
Oh, just very literally just signing up to go watch that
it's
movie.
not complicated. I'll pre-order a ticket. Okay, so as far as other big names in the cast, I think the only other huge name on the cast, besides Patrick Stewart, is Kevin Smith as the diner cook.
Wait, what do you mean besides Patrick Stewart? He is he's the name.
Captain Picard playing Max Winter as a businessman who turned out to be the immortal warlord Yertle. But also Kevin Smith is the diner cook.
I don't even remember that scene. I think I fell asleep.
Well, when the Night Watcher fights the Jersey Devil, it happens in a diner.
Yeah.
And the cook is the great Kevin Smith, comic book guys.
Yeah, he probably loved that. Oh, my God.
Chasing Amy.
Wait, are you just listing Kevin Smith movies now?
What's the movie? Jersey Girl? Jersey Girl.
Uh-huh.
All the good ones. Clerks 2.
Sure.
The forthcoming Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
We're going to do those?
Oh, we got to. Oh, those movies are so good.
I hate those movies so much.
Well, he always has a message. Everyone says Kevin Smith, he just makes dick joke and is, it's lazy. But there's always a message.
Like what?
Like, if a girl brings you lasagna at work, even if she has had sex with other men, it doesn't make her a diseased thing that should be disposed of.
That's a good message, Kevin.
Yeah, he's a pretty, look back, Clerks is kind of like the woke Bible, if you look back on it now.
Isn't that Dogma? Wait, no, what?
Dogma is kind of the cool, hey, religion, right?
The cool Bible. So we got the woke Bible and the cool Bible? All from one man?
All from one man.
Fuck. Kevin.
He's from New Jersey.
He gets it.
He loves comic books.
Oh, and is that why he was in the scene where they fought the Jersey Devil?
Because he's from New Jersey. He probably likes the Jersey Devils, the hockey team. I bet he wears a big uniform jersey from the hockey team. And
he wears the hockey pads?
He actually was a clerk,
No.
He was. Look,
no.
1994 was the year that, like, dorks kind of like epically pwned Hollywood. Because you have Tarantino.
Sure.
Okay, you got Smith.
Yep.
They were both clerks, but one of them made a clerk movie, one of them made a murder movie.
This is pretty good.
So 1994, and punk broke. I'm talking Green Day, Nirvana.
Terminator.
Yeah, no.
That wasn't 84?
This is 94 I'm talking about.
You said 84 multiple times.
Okay, God. I have syphilis, okay? You can't hold me to things like this.
I'm never going to hold you.
Because of the syphilis?
Partially, yeah.
Because I'm a big crab man with a little hat?
Yeah, that'd be cute.
I'm a little crab man with a little hat.
I'm trying to figure out what to be for Halloween. Should I be the syphilitic sailor from Terminator, I don't know why I keep saying Terminator, from Turtles?
I think you were born to play a syphilitic sailor.
Crab.
But you have to wear a big red shell, and you got to get that dick covered in pus oozing like lesions.
That's not a problem.
Yeah. Okay, so basically this movie's about the turtles coming back together after defeating Shredder to dispense of the 13 immortal monsters who are wreaking havoc in the city, driving around a very boring-looking New York, and not that wet, not that gritty-looking New York.
It was at a time period, I think, that it was hard for them to capture wetness, too. So even if they were trying to make it a wet, dirty New York, there just wasn't really much they could do.
This is true. Look, honestly, this is kind of a hard movie to get ramped up about. I think it's sort of a charming diversion. I certainly enjoyed watching it to some degree. But it's, it doesn't have much of the residue of the other movies beyond the basic archetypes of the characters, except for at the very end of the movie, there's like a little closing tribute to the other films in the form of the various artifacts from the first three movies seen in their sort of like trophy room. But, you've got Leonardo coming back to reconcile himself with Raphael, who is a vigilante called the Night Watcher, who's sort of a techno warrior fighting bad guys at night. You got the Foot Clan back, and they're sort of, working out a new deal for themselves in a post-Shredder world. Now, looking at the Wikipedia article, something that I didn't get from the movie that I'm getting now is that they're calling like one of the beasts is the Bigfoot, one of the beasts is the Jersey Devil, one of the beasts is a gargoyle. I didn't really pick up on that theme of them trying to piece together, cryptozoology to this original thing. I kind of missed that.
It was very subtle. And I feel like there's some things that can be subtle in movies, like, emotional themes and arcs and lessons and messages. Monsters that like have a thing that you could be like, whoa, that's cool. I wonder what the next one, like, why make that so quiet? Amp that shit up.
Yeah. I mean, I would have leaned into that so much more.
Yeah, it's a big waste. I think that's what this movie... So basically what we're supposed to believe is that 3,000 years have gone by. He's, captured like 8 of them already or 7? I don't know. There's like a scene where he's like captures Bigfoot, puts him in a holding cell. We see that he's captured a few other ones.
Well, the whole thing's that they have like 11 down and just a couple to go. And what the Foot Clan puts Leonardo in for one of them... Or the Stone Generals or something. And then the Stone Generals betray Yertle because he's actually a good guy kind of, who's regretful, and they want to live forever. And this is what I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of fun interaction between the turtles, but the core of the plot is just so turgid and bizarre.
I want to talk about the turtles because I think that's going to be the meat of this episode.
Oh, that's good. I'm happy we're arriving at the meat, like 45 minutes in. We're really getting to the core of it.
That's when you want the meat. But I feel like the big problem with this movie is that it introduces at the very beginning this plot, which is already overworked 4 minutes in, but then it makes us believe that... So the goal of Yertle is to corral all 13 monsters together at a specific point in time with his henchmen. And it's like, wait, they all just happen to be living in New York now? And it's like really easy to... Like, why did it take 3,000 years and suddenly in 2 days they've captured 4 monsters? It's just like, I don't know, it's sort of petty, but it's like, it's just that shit that's like, wow, this is just a really bad story that we're watching. And I'm already not really that engaged. And that just fully removes me from this movie.
Yeah, I guess like with a plot that massive and strange, to resolve it somewhat simply and again with like... If the whole pretense of these movies are to let us enjoy the interactions of the turtles as they learn more about themselves and learn more from Shredder and more come into their own, Splinter, excuse me. Well, I guess they learn from their enemies too,
Yeah.
But we're sort of watching them grow up. That's part of the story. And while this gives us that, and I actually genuinely like how committed they were to telling a very earnest story about these young men young turtles coming into their own.
It's okay. They're men.
I'm not sure why they felt the need to dress it up so heavily in this incredibly elaborate backstory. Because it just seems like there's got to be a way to like balance that we're having fun in New York as an environment vibe with the fact that they look so fucking wild and crazy. And instead we're sort of given this like operatic, just really crazy thing. And I think it just ultimately sucks the investment out of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you brought up Kim Possible earlier. Like what this reminded me of was I used to babysit a lot when I was younger, and like watching 30-minute animated television programming does shit like this, where it has like a huge plot to like just engage with kids that are 6 years old, and then resolves it in a 25-minute span where you get a few commercials for toys. And it's like, this was that, except it was 90 minutes long and was trying to engage with probably mid-20s people, like people that had grown up watching the Turtles when they were kids.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, again, reading about the background of the movie, So Kevin Monroe, the guy who wrote and directed it, was a big fan of the original comics, and I guess he wanted like a darker tone than the live action ones, which I appreciate. And he wanted to like bring in new characters like Karai from the Foot Clan into the movies. So let me share something from this that's kind of interesting. Monroe said originally some of the ideas were extreme as the Turtles being in space.
What?
But instead they brought it back to New York City and to focus on the theme of this fallen apart family.
Well, I mean, I feel like you could have done the fallen apart family in space too.
Are you kidding me? Right. Like, oh my God, you're doing CGI. Why give us this like anemic vision of New York that we've already gotten when we could be pushing this to an extreme, which I think would have been so much more fascinating in. Like, again, it's like, why do CGI if not to do extreme shit? That's the one, look, I don't love Avatar, but from a visual standpoint, the fact that, Cameron used all the technology available to give us floating mountains in the sky, in the clouds with a helicopter battle, that's fucking amazing. Like, go for it if we're going to go for it. So, like, in this case, it's like they give us all this, like, weird, vaguely Aztec-looking bullshit in the beginning, and then, like, that's kind of it for as far as really pushing the visual extremes. And like, the fights are obviously more fluid and wild and there's more blasting and explosions and whatever. But like, take us to goddamn space. Like, what a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And also, I mean, one extreme they pushed was the waist size of every human. So I'm glad they went there.
So small.
Tiny little waists.
Yeah. Speaking of, obviously, speaking of tiny waists, they make April O'Neil look insane in this movie. She has like, she's a slip of a thing with a tiny waist. It's pretty wild.
I would say that might be strangely ogly and sexist, but they make Casey look almost identical. So I think that was just like, and also everyone looks like that. I think just April has more screen time, so you just have to like put up with it longer, but everybody looks like they've been stretched out. Like, they sort of look like Gumby with a tiny waist.
That's a good comparison. The Gumby thing sticks. So I wanted, we brought up Casey and April. What did you make of this? In this movie, they are full-on dating. They're in a full-on relationship. And adding to the dour taste of the film, like Casey talks about his problems with their relationship with Raphael, kind of. And it takes on a weird sort of melodramatic, like they definitely, the whole broken up family theme, it's impressive they wanted to engage with it. But I thought all of this was sort of like a little sour in a way that I'm both impressed at the maturity of and also like, it made it not that much fun to watch. Yeah,
I think they didn't really get any tone right, just in the same way the CGI just sort of like made everything look very untextured. But yeah, I mean, they spend too much. They do not know how to efficiently invest their story time. So they've spent too much time with this monster shit because I think they had too much going on. They needed to focus on one thing and not have 8 characters all try to have arcs and important messages. Like, I never really understood why the Turtles were having so much hard time becoming brothers and friends again. I didn't really understand why the relationship between April and Casey was bad. That there was so much shit going on, they didn't have enough time to focus on it.
Yeah, and it's like, you sure taking us to space, motherfucker? That would have been sick.
Yeah, that's going to be your IMDb review.
I don't review shit online. It sucks. So this was the last movie for Mako Iwamatsu as Splinter. This was his last movie.
Yeah, he's awesome. He was like, have you seen Avatar: Last Airbender?
No, and he's in Samurai Jack, as I understand it, too. He's in a million things.
Yeah.
He's in both original Conan movies as the Wizard.
Yeah.
Akira the Wizard. RoboCop 3, a movie we might cover at some point.
That's true.
Highlander 3, a movie we might cover at some point.
He's my favorite character in Avatar. He is so touching and beautiful. It's like this. He plays the bad guy's uncle, but then we realize partway through that like the bad guy isn't the bad guy and the uncle. Like, it's really complicated, and he's such a I don't think the character would have been as good. Actually, I know he wouldn't have been as good because after he died, they got the same dude to replace him that they got in this movie.
Huh.
They got some white dude to put on a really shitty fake Japanese accent in both Avatar and TMNT.
Not cool.
Not cool. And yeah, it's just like I think Splinter, I think they went the wrong tone with Splinter as well. Like, having him be a hard ass that you never get to see any of his lightness. At the end, he just like is like this Yoda type fighting character. He really sucked. He was like, he's been the one fun
Hold on,
thing.
are you mixing up Splinters?
I don't know. What am I saying?
I think you're mixing up this Splinter with another Splinter we will be discussing next week, which was from our raw diarrhea sewage choking.
Yeah. See, this is
No,
why we
Splinter
shouldn't
was
watch.
fine in this. Splinter was fine in this.
Was he? I thought he had some scenes where he just like was a hard ass. And I
No,
don't really
that's absolutely
underst-
Michael Bay's Teenage
Yeah, I
Mutant Turtles,
understand that
which
it is, and we're telling people that we once cheated. We cheated, Josh.
Yes, we've broken continuity,
Fuck.
and we watched the next movie after this movie almost immediately, which was a true crawl through the depths of horror. But no, I thought Splinter was fine in this. I liked him in this. I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just mixing him up because he was so empty. I'm just like filling him with what we watched next, but I don't remember him being all that important or interesting. I mean, even like his stoned out version in Turtles 3 was more of a character and more of like a person that I could relate to than this little CGI rat.
Yeah. I mean, I will say he left a very limited impression in my mind, which is not great.
Yeah. I think for me, the biggest downfall, there's so many downfalls to this movie, but it is the Turtles. Like I could feel them trying really hard to create this tension and like, wow, this is like, what would happen if the Turtles stopped being friends and like watch a story that brings them back together? Because they all have like such cool personalities, as we know, and there's there's Raph, there's the moody guy, Turtle. What else we got?
Well, I want to talk about Michelangelo a little bit, actually.
Yeah, let's talk about Michelangelo. He's always been the horny, goofy, like, you know.
In this movie, Donatello's like working as like an IT guy.
Yeah.
And Donatello and Michelangelo is working as like a party clown, essentially, which I actually kind of love him wearing the fake turtle mask over his turtle head. That was kind of a great visual.
That is something that, if I had to guess one thing that you really liked from this movie, I would have guessed that. That is like classic Josh humor.
Yeah.
Josh loves that shit.
I'm a big fan of that. I think it's funny.
What if they put another turtle head on top of a turtle head? Would 3 be too many, or would that be just the most joy you could ever think to have?
No, that's the dream. Give me the full Fabergé egg or the Russian doll. Like, I want that. I want turtles, then turtles, then turtles. That's funny.
So that's
Remember in Joker, when Joker Man wears the Joker mask?
Oh, you mean the clown mask over his Joker mask?
He's the clown prince of crime, and he wears the clown mask over his clown face.
Oh, my God.
And it's like, that's mask on mask on mask. You know what I mean? Because he has the mask he wears for society.
Yeah. And then his skin mask.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh, okay.
That's the society mask.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Okay, so let me tell you what this movie was. Its financial success. It made over $95 million on a $39 million budget. It debuted at number 1 at the box office. Kind of a big hit.
What else opened that week? Can you quickly find out for us?
Yeah. So there were. I'm going to do that. They also talk about what the sequel would have been like, which I think is really interesting.
Oh yeah, what's that? Where are you looking at? Are you?
Hold on, one sec. Okay, so
are you still on Wiki? Like this is all on Wikipedia?
No, it's Box Office Mojo. Okay, so this week, and this is March 23rd, 2007. It opens at number 1 above 300, which it displaces from number 1.
Okay.
Then Shooter, a movie that I did not see.
Yeah, me neither.
And then The Great Wild Hogs at number 4.
Wow, that was such a weird year. Jesus.
A movie that I've seen on an airplane twice.
What?
Yeah, and then the rest, honestly, this top 10 is legitimately mind-blowing. Number 5 is The Last Mimsy.
The Last what?
The Last Mimsy. 2 siblings begin to develop special talents after they find a mysterious box of toys.
Huh.
I've never heard of this movie.
Don't
and then
remember
6
that
is
one.
The Hills Have Eyes 2. I've never seen that. 7 is Premonition. 8 is Reign Over Me, the Adam Sandler 9/11 movie.
Cool.
And then Pride is number 9 and Dead Silence is number 10. What a strange moment in film history.
Yeah. Wow.
Going down the list, you also have Bridge to Terabithia, Ghost Rider, Zodiac is still in the top 20. That's a good movie. Night at the Museum is number 21, a movie we might cover.
Might.
Oh my God, the number 23.
That was what number was that?
The number 23 was at this point at number 24 in the box office. I've seen that movie. It is fucking a mind melt. You absolutely don't see this movie. Watch Jim Carrey in the number 23. If you've ever thought he's a smart man who's interesting, he's very stupid, and it's an amazing disaster.
All right. I've never seen it. I do have it, though. I was given a copy of it.
You need to watch it immediately.
Right now?
It's so good. There's so many scenes of him playing saxophone in the rain, like chrome saxophone in the rain. I tell you this all the time. In the movie, there's a fake name for a fake author, and the name is Topsy Kretz.
Topsy-Kratz.
Yeah, that's the clever wordplay in that movie. Okay. TMNT 2 would have loosely adapted the Turtles' 13-part comic book saga, City at War, where Michelangelo flees the family to join the Foot Clan. And the Turtles go to Japan and meet up with Karai again, and they come across Shredder again. And then TMNT 3 would have had the Triceratons and the Technodome from Dimension X, which is honestly the best part of the... I love that shit, getting some crank, getting some wild shit. So they actually had some pretty ambitious plans for the series, though the idea of like them having more broken family stuff, like at some point you got to like move past that, you know?
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's supposedly all the Turtles have, basically, is that there are 4 versions. We've talked about this, the Jung Hagel Hung theory that like all men and women are really just can be broken down to the 4 turtle versions of themselves.
I think we've created a new paradigm for understanding the psychology of life.
Yeah, and I think it's getting a little old. This idea that the only story you can tell about the 4 turtles is each of their personalities is different, and watching them come together as 4 turtle brother men turtles. Let's get them into fucking space. What'd you say? Get them into fucking space?
Get them into goddamn space. Why would you not? That sounds so sick. Like, I'm technically an adult man, and I would buy the Blu-ray for Turtles in Space tomorrow. Like, no questions asked, as long as Michael Bay does not make it.
Yeah, and you need to thank me for getting you into Blu-rays, because a couple months ago you had bought this stupid DVD.
Yeah, I've updated my game. I'm like the cool kids now, buying the Blu-rays.
Look at you go.
Hey-o. So, yeah, I guess it's that point in the podcast where we ask the question that the title is derived from. Charles, at this point in the series, are you asking, when will it end?
I mean, I've asked, I think I did backtrack and say I was ready for more Turtles, but no, I don't care. Yes, these characters were a big part of your childhood, especially. They turned into my childhood, even though I never engaged with them other than by going to Greg's house and pretending I was a turtle, but like, I really don't care. I think they don't know how to tell these stories. There's maybe not a story to tell, but yeah, get it out of here. I'm ready. I don't need this franchise anymore.
Well, here's the thing. There's so much untapped potential in that comic book and in the animated series and in the whole mythos of the Turtles that I would love to see done well. And so had we not watched the next movie very soon after this movie, I'm going to pretend that hasn't happened as much as I wish I could purge that film from my fucking brain and say that, yeah, I want them to take more cracks at this. I want them to think bigger. I want to go to space. I want to see this push to an extreme, which they chose to really, in an attempt to be more human, ironically, took us into this thing that ultimately feels a bit more plasticky and out there emotionally. So, no, I think on principle, I'm not against that at this point.
Here's what I know I'm not going to convince you, okay?
Okay.
So don't even worry about it. Your opinion is fine.
I wasn't worried.
Okay, but I just want to tell you that the reason why I am sick of this is that starting from the original comic books, they have decided to make teenager, like their definition of what a teenager is boring. So unless they stray incredibly far away from the original source material, like when we were watching Turtles 2. I said Terminator again. What the fuck is wrong with me? In Turtles 2...
The syphilis has gone from your dick to your brain.
That's what happens. We were like complaining about it, and then we're like, wait, no, this is what Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles would act like. So we have to give it a little bit of credit for correctly displaying stupid bullshit teenage dude behavior.
Sure.
And that to me is why this always falls apart. It's because all we have are these like very simplistic, hey dude, like skater bros or surf kids from California. It's fucking boring.
Right. We want to get to the next chapter.
Well, no, as I'm saying, unless you like hire someone that has told stories convincingly about teenagers, maybe like the new Spider-Man series has been like really fun, and maybe, I don't know, I thought was a good, like, there's ways to tell stories about children and teenagers that doesn't demote them to simple, dumb bullshit things that like to jump around.
Okay, what about Idris Elba as Raphael, Tom Holland as Michelangelo.
Here's the problem. We're talking casting. I think we need to go back. Production.
Brie Larson is Leonardo.
Writing and directing. We need to recast that.
And Steve Buscemi is Donatello.
Yeah.
Screenplay by Paul Schrader.
Paul Schrader. Okay. So I think for me, it would be very much like maybe I'm not asking when will it end, but I am now going to pay attention to like who is creating this universe.
Well, in this case, we had fans of the original trying to get gritty again and trying to get down to the core of the story.
That's what I'm talking about.
Right. And they missed the mark a little bit by going with this like larger envelope story that sucks. So
well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I do not want fans. I do not want Turtle fans making these movies. I don't think the Turtleverse is interesting. I don't think the original comic strip is like the characters that they created were boring. I want someone that doesn't like the source material to make a Turtles movie. That's what I'll be engaged again.
I've got the guy for you.
Who's you got?
Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips. We already talked about this. Todd Phillips making me a Turtles movie.
Just Turtle.
Just Turtle?
Turtler.
I came up with a really good one sentence review of this movie. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to.
The review for TMNT would simply be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't know if you could pick that up. I'm going to spell it. T-U-R-D.
No, but isn't that the Michael Bay one?
No. This one's Turtles.
What?
Yeah. Well, what are you talking about?
I'm going to put you back in the maze. You got to run out of this one.
Wait, what? What are you talking about?
I'm going to put you in a maze.
You're going to put me in a maze?
I'm going to put you in a maze because this is complicated.
Okay. I think this one sentence review is Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Wait, did I say that already about the next one?
I thought that's what the next one's called.
No, I spelled it even. Were you not fucking paying attention?
Say it again. I'm confused.
My one sentence review of TMNT is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. Okay, sorry, I didn't get that.
Yeah, it's funny. Glad he's spent 2 minutes on it.
That's a good joke. Well, let's all just give everyone everyone just wherever you are, give a little clap for Charles, and it's a good joke.
Clap, 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 clap.
Okay, next week on the show, we descend into the bowels of hell.
And you don't have to, it's not a guess.
We're not guessing. We have raw evidence that Michael Bay squatted over our eyes and took a big watery shit right into our corneas.
But if it sounds fun to have Josh and Charles talk about it for a little over an hour, well, I guess come back. Yeah,
it's raw misery in its finest form. We'll really delve into if this movie is sort of like a loving attempt to deepen something that ultimately distances it, the next movie is like molesting a corpse on like a game show.
I'm not available here.